Hello, everybody. This is Maniac for Bricks More, and for a while, I've had a bit of trouble with keeping up with the community. And there are definitely some people that I attach to more than others. That's just the nature of how people work, no matter what fandom it is. Um, but there are still people that I'm trying to still adapt to in the community and still be able to enjoy their content and still be able to keep up with it. But it's been a lot of different changes over the years that I've been involved, especially with the Lego community, but just with YouTube in general, just interacting with a lot of different channels, hundreds of channels, um, that I've found a lot of fascinating things lately. So a couple days ago, I was going through and I was like, okay, well, maybe the best way for me to interact with people more, if I can't meet them for live streams, I gotta still find their videos and see who I'm subscribed to and see how the notification settings work, because YouTube has had weird ways lately for the past couple of years really of how people get notified for their videos. And if you don't watch somebody for a while, you're just buried and don't find their content. They don't really get notified. It's weird. And it's not a system that I completely agree with, even though in some ways it kind of makes sense. It just makes me feel bad where it's like a subscription doesn't have the same weight as it used to. So I went through trying to see all my subscriptions and figure out where do I go from there. Are there channels that I should keep notifications on? Do I just add a whole bunch of videos into a playlist and then be able to watch them so I can keep up with their stuff? Um, do I limit the notifications where it's like, okay, maybe I don't need to see all their stuff, but there's still a channel I care about? Um, or do I turn notifications off where it's just like, I won't be watching them for a while, but it won't really affect them that much. It should be a-okay, and I can still find them sometime later. Or is it a channel I just don't have interest in anymore? I've had a lot of tastes change, as far as what I watch on YouTube over the past 8 years of July that I've been using the platform regularly. And that could happen. And there are definitely channels that I'm like, I still think you do great work and still have a good thing going for them, but it may not be my kind of thing, or may not be a thing I want to see every single video from. Maybe I'll still search for whatever the user is or whatever the subject was and still find something, but that's going to be much less often than other channels. What I'm trying to get to are the people in the communities and people that I've been following for a while that I still want to support and show that support by liking, by commenting, by watching the videos more regularly, so that when they have a video come out, I'll be there and I'll be helping them, but also keeping closer bonds with the community. Because I feel like I don't do that properly, and I need to work on that. And I've been trying to do a lot on my own, trying to focus on my own things, having a lot going on here, but I also still need to figure out how to interact with other people. And whether or not the virus thing is a good time to do so, especially being indoors and just, oh, what else am I going to do? I guess it works. I guess it's a good time to reevaluate things. And really, with the virus in general, has been a good time to just put everything else on the sidelines and work on myself and try to get my head where I wanted to be, at least in a better direction than before. So I found actually a couple of things interesting. There were a couple of patterns or a couple of methods in which these channels developed over time from when I've last been regularly a part of them that changed to how I subscribed to them. There were some channels that I used to find really entertaining, and like I said before, may just find one or two things here and there. It doesn't have to be watching every single video, and that's just how it goes. My tastes change. There are some channels where they change themselves entirely, changing the identity of the channel, whether they were moving a new direction with it, or they were not making content anymore, or they would have long lapses in making content, but still kind of be active or still gauge the interest of people that subscribe to them. And I actually feel bad because one of those channels uploaded something a year ago, approximately a year ago, where they were asking a legitimate question about that. Like, are people still in the community? Are they still following for this stuff? And I immediately shot a comment off because it was like, hey, I'm still here. I'm still supporting your stuff. I'm sorry I didn't see this video. However, it didn't happen. I still care for that, and I'm sorry for not being reliable. And there are some channels that were like completely other names, which is different from the identity thing in some ways because it's like I didn't even recognize the username. And I looked through the library of stuff that they had. I couldn't find anything that I remember watching or knowing them for. So that felt really weird. Like if they completely revamped themselves to the point where I couldn't recognize them anymore, or if it was some random channel that I accidentally hit the subscribe button to. I have one I went through. This is I never would have thought of a channel like this. Toy Taco Overland. I don't know what that channel was about or if they actually did anything. There are some channels that I mainly subscribed to because I knew the people in the community. Even if they didn't make videos regularly, they were still a part of the live streams or comment sections on other videos, and I was still familiar with them and had a good thing going with them, even if they didn't make regular videos. But I still kept that subscription because it's like, hey, I still know you're a part of the community. I want to acknowledge that and still be able to interact whatever way possible. It may be a little less accessible now than it used to be because there's no real YouTube messaging app or segment of the website like there used to be. There was a brief thing with that in some way using Google Plus, and that just kind of fizzled out because Google Plus doesn't really exist anymore. So a lot has changed on the platform, and I'm just trying to update myself with all these changes. And there are a whole bunch of channels, don't get me wrong. There are a whole bunch of channels that I've been subscribed to and people I know in the community that I'm like, oh, I am putting all these videos in my recent playlists to watch them as soon as possible to keep up with their stuff and turning on notifications. The weird thing is that the subscribing and notifications, like the bell icon, almost seem like they have no value. Or you have to make a value for them. Like they should be able to do something, but only because you act on it do they do it. And just from my experience, I've had channels that I've had the bell rung long time ago. And maybe I skip a couple of their videos for whatever reason and sometimes get back to them, but then I never get notifications for them. Even in the bell icon in the corner, it never shows me again so and so uploaded a video to even gauge my interest again in that channel. It's almost like they were a dead channel to me. Like I didn't know anything that they were doing. And that kind of upsets me because that's what the subscribe button was. It was a way for you to get notified about channels being active and uploading things, or even the recent activity section that some channels have on their pages. I even know one that was like, I know they don't make videos really, but they've done recent things, adding things to playlists, and it's like, okay, that's cool. I'm glad they're still involved and still, caring about other people that I care about as well. But that used to be a thing, and it still kind of is a thing with subscribing to a channel. I still get email notifications about that. Mostly, that's the best way I can. But it does eat up so much of my email, and I'm already trying to weed out things on my email privately as it is. So it's like every time so and so uploaded a video, I got a big list of them every day. And maybe I do follow a lot of channels, but I also care for a lot of people. And that's actually been surprisingly the best way for it to happen, but it's also a way where it happens so much that it automatically got moved into spam, and it's like I have to keep changing that. When I'm on YouTube, I don't really hit the subscriptions button where it shows just everything for the past 24 hours that was uploaded from channels I subscribe to. I rarely hit that button. I usually just go to the channels themselves, or I find it through the bell notification, which usually tells me instantaneously so-and-so is having a live stream, so-and-so uploaded a video. That kind of stuff, it sometimes works, but it sometimes doesn't. Like I said, there are definitely channels I've rang the bell to and never got a thing from them. because I fell off the track. Because YouTube tried to determine from my algorithm of what I've been watching and who I have and haven't been watching, what new things to put in my face. So I don't know. And this goes across multiple social media where I find that there's a lot of people that I follow and try to keep up with, and it's a lot to handle. So it is a big undertaking, of course. But there's also a lot of channels that I just really want to support in some way, even if it's not all of their content, but still something that I enjoy about them. I've come to that conclusion over time as I was looking through these channels and how they've evolved and what I've liked from them. And it almost seems like YouTube or people in general, whichever the case may be, that's kind of the thing. You can do anything you'd like through YouTube as long as you're abiding by their rules, and like any different hobbies or whatever the entertainment value or whatever it's going to be. But if you have a stick, if you have a certain thing that you can attach onto, continuously make, for longevity purposes, and people gravitate towards, then you should just go with that thing. I'd hate to put all my eggs in one basket, but that's what it feels like. I've actually been told that about my channel. Being a Lego channel seems very niche. However, it's a pretty diverse subject because you could have a Lego channel entirely about news, entirely about reviews, or, mixing between them. There are actually a whole bunch of channels that thrive off of being a news and review source of information for new Lego stuff coming out, as well as mixing in other things here and there. And then there's definitely Lego channels that thrive on being just about creations, the creations that they make. There's the famous Beyond the Brick. Their channel and social media in general, across any platform, is about the creations that other people make. It's not even their stuff, but going to conventions, having these in-person interviews with people and how they created their stuff and what learning more about the builders themselves. That's their thing. That's what they're known for. If they did something like hauls or unboxings or whatever, unless people really caught on to that because of the personalities, it's going to be hard for it to be recommended to people. It's going to be hard for it to, continue. I've been the kind of person that's kind of dipped my toes into every single facet of what the Lego community has brought onto YouTube, and once or twice making my own thing with it. And it turns out that I've never really had a solid footing in any of those things except two of them. And they were the most unique things that I've done. And even among the rest of the community was some of the most unique things. One, obscure Lego, which is very different from having new Lego or like classic Lego or mix between them, but obscure Lego, things that are just like random Lego merchandise, one-off projects, the kind of historical aspect to it, but more hard to find and not as documented. And there are definitely people that are out there that do that, especially in the video media section of that, but not as much in the product section. Or if it is in the product section, they mix it between all these other stuff that they're better known for. It's interesting. There's the obscure Lego, that's one thing, and Lego fan theories. Because I had a thing going for a while, around, I want to say, 2015 or so, I had these things where I was like, these are some good ideas, but they're so good of an idea, I don't want it to disrupt what I'm already doing on the channel, which was mostly, at the time, mocks, reviews, sometimes news things, and a whole mix of things. I still did hauls, whatever. So they became their own channel for a brief period of time, and it kind of was hit and miss with that, because it's like, this is a unique idea, and you should foster this more and make it a really good thing. Like, you should develop this. Meanwhile, moving it to another YouTube channel kind of exiled it from being a part of me. It made it seem like it was its own thing, or I didn't want it anymore, and that shouldn't have been the case. It should have still been a part of the channel, and I just put the other stuff on the side and say, hey, this is the main thing I'm working on, this is thriving well, and I actually enjoy doing these, so let's keep this up for as long as possible. When I did move them to other stuff, they got exiled in a way that they didn't continue. Even if I wanted to have it as its own bubble of this type of video, it didn't do anything. It lasted a very short time after that. It took a while for me to come back and say, oh yeah, I did that. And oh yeah, I didn't really do anything else with that. It's a shame, really. Because there were a couple of good ideas around that time. Like I said, the obscure Lego thing, or the Lego fan theories, kind of fell in that way. The obscure Lego, it still existed on the channel, mainly here, but it kind of brushed off to the side. Not to another channel, mind you, but just kind of fell into like, oh, I'll only do this every so often. And it also became, well, instead of making these all as videos, I'd rather compile all these into a fan book. And that, I'd like to come back to that. A lot of it has been written, a lot of it was creative, and even if it's not all of it, it's still a really neat thing, which I think the community is still going to enjoy, even if it's been years since I pitched the idea. So as long as I can just get back on that, that would be great. But these other things, they just kind of like, I push them away instead of making them, instead of embracing them really on the one place. And it kind of made sense at the time that I already had stuff pushed away, because it's like, I have a Lego centric channel. I have a channel that's about building toys, and other than Lego, there's also Connects, there was Mega Bloks, whatever. Didn't make sense to put video games on there unless they were Lego video games. That would, because that's my audience, Lego fans. Only some of those are going to adapt to Nerf. They're going to adapt to video games in a larger, broader way. So that's why they were pushed off for a bit. Or just other older toys, board games, card games, whatever else I was interested in making videos about. I tried to bring that all back in 2018 and 2019, and nobody got interested. It was at a point where it's like, okay, these are only basically Lego fans here, or very minor, a minority of fans of the other stuff. So, and even so, they're probably not going to find it through all this other stuff going on. I don't know. It's something I've struggled with for a long time, and I still do, about where do I fit in? What's my thing? Where, almost to an identity point. Like, even if it's outside of YouTube, just where do I belong? Where in, in the real world, in personal life? It's very weird. Because I always feel like I'm always dipping my toes into different things, but I've never really, it's like, it's a jack of all trades, master of few kind of scenario. I like trying all these different things, even with Lego. I didn't even mention that I did Lego stop motion animation at one point. It didn't last long, but it was still something that I could say, hey, I've had experience with that. Even if it wasn't the up-to-date technology or methods or whatever the case. I could still say, hey, I've done something like this before. But I've never really mastered any one thing. And even more recently, I keep doing that over and over again in different ways, but it's never something that I've been able to like carry all the way through and say, I feel proud of this. I'm really good at this. Even the things that were more unique that I did, they weren't perfect. There were always, I always held myself to such a high standard that I never reached it. And I didn't know where that was going to take me. I didn't know if I was actually going to do more with that or drop it entirely. And I've had a bad habit of, when I don't feel successful or confident with something, and I don't mean monetary success, I just mean that I'm actually improving on my craft. If I don't feel like I'm making a difference with it, or that it's something that really stands on its own and doesn't feel like 10 steps behind everyone else, then I drop it. even or minimize publicly showing it. I still draw. I even drew the other day something that was completely random, like some little thing from a dream that I had, and I haven't really shown it that much online because I didn't really feel comfortable with it. I didn't know if it was going to be a good thing. It was really small when it was drawn, so the photo might not come out well. I kind of thought maybe I should draw bigger next time, but I don't know how long that's going to take or what resources I'm going to use up for that. And with art in general, it's like I wanted to get back into this thing I used to do a lot as a kid, and I did through high school, and I was flourishing with it through high school. I wasn't really a master of art or anything, but it was still a passion. It was still something I really enjoyed doing. But then it came to the point where like I drifted off from it for so long that when I came back to it, I felt worse about how I did drawing than when I used to do it because I looked at that old work and said that was actually pretty good. This stuff isn't that good. I'm, you know, I'm back several steps like I said before. And compared to other people in my same field when I was in college and still taking art classes with it, they were impressive. They were really good right out of the gate, and they've probably been doing it consistently for a while. That's the problem, was consistency is not my strong suit. And because of that, I got more discouraged, even if they weren't putting it on me, but just seeing how their work was and how I tried so hard. I put a lot of mental energy in classes and still was getting nowhere, just spinning my wheels. And I tried to listen and I tried to adapt what I was being told from my professors. And it made sense what they were talking about when they first talked about it, or even the instruction at the beginning of the class, and say we're going to use these materials, we're going to use them this way, and like visual instruction on each of them. It made sense, but not enough for me to put it in my hands. It wasn't like I'm copying as you're doing it. It was like I watched you do it, and now I have to do it myself. And even so, I don't know where I stand. Coronavirus or not, I've had this kind of identity crisis for a while, for years, of trying to see where I belong and see what I'm actually good at. But all these things just feel like I'm mediocre at them at best. And if we're going to relate this back to YouTube, because we've been on a tangent for quite a bit, that's how I feel with the YouTube channel and in the community. What am I doing special? I have a following. I don't know what I'm doing to gain that following other than just a personality thing, I guess. I'm hoping. But I could also see the personality being a reason people wouldn't follow me. Like, if I blow off some steam every once in a while. And, or I don't live up to an expectation I set for myself. I'm put out there that I was going to do something. Happens all the time, and I disappoint myself every time with it. So I don't know where I'm going with this. So it was a bit of a nostalgia going back through all these different channels and seeing things change and remembering what I used to like. But there are also some weird changes about where are we going with this? Am I actually going to find a way to still be with people and still be able to interact in the things that I do enjoy, and then be able to give something into the community, something I can say and be able to contribute, to be like, hey, I'm here for a reason. I don't know. And that's regardless of it being Lego, Nerf, video games, whatever. Just any things that I enjoy in life in general. What special thing do I have? And relating that back with the whole the YouTube thing, it's like, oh, well, everyone has like a certain thing that people know them for, even if at a certain point in time, and then later know them for something else. I don't know what I have. I don't know what I've done. I don't know what my thing was. I had a big boom at one point, and I peaked, and then it just stopped. It kind of plateaued, and it still had like minor growth over time. But what happened? What made it peak before? What made it boom before? What's happening now? Am I changing? Are they changing? What? I'm just going to wind up making this like an hour-long thing if I keep going at this rate. But I just wanted to get to the point that I'm trying to keep up with the community. I'm trying to support local creators because I there are definitely a lot of bigwigs. I follow bigwigs as much as anyone else does on the platform, but they can wait. And more times than not, I don't need to subscribe to them or get notification bell to find their content. I know the name. I can easily search it up and be like, "Oh, cool, they had a video on this." Meanwhile, there's creators that I do care for, and I've been waiting on projects and whatever, and I don't hear anything for a while because I didn't properly subscribe or set up notifications or whatever. And then I find out, oh, 2 weeks ago they uploaded the thing I was looking forward to. I wish I was there for that. Not that I need to be there right away, but it definitely helps make it more relevant, and it definitely helps with their growth and what they were trying to do in the first place. So, a lot of notifications are coming my way, for sure. But they're all going to be from people that I know personally, and hopefully people that I can get to know better through the community. Always felt a little weird about that from when I saw people at conventions and different meetups and what have you, even live streams at cases, because there was something that was missing. There was something between the connections that I just wasn't getting. And I felt like it was my fault. I don't know if it's their fault. I don't know whose it is. And I'm trying to be as dramaless as possible. But it always felt like I should do more. I have to put more foot forward to try to embrace them. I have a lot of me going on, and I got wound up on that, and even in this video. But I need to also find a way to be out there for other people. Even if I skip here and then, but I shouldn't be skipping for months to years on end and never know what they have. I want to try to create tighter bonds with the communities that I enjoy, because what are the communities if not for the people? If I want to be around these people, I should make myself more available for that. So, I'm not crying, but I'm trying to avoid it getting close to that. So, I got a lot off my chest. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed. I don't know if the enjoyed is the right word. I use that every video, but I don't know if it's always the right thing to say. But I hope you found something insightful and interesting, not entertaining, but something to take away from this. I don't even know if I should change that, because again, I don't feel like every video has to end with "I hope you guys enjoyed it," because it's not always an enjoyable thing to talk about, even in the video itself. Even if it's like, "Hey, I got progress on this thing, but it's still not where I wanted to be. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you enjoyed just a mess." I don't know. Things change all the time. There's a lot for me to adapt to, and I'm working my best with it. I don't know. And there's definitely plenty of things where I hear from the community itself when I talk to them and be like, "Oh, did you check out this?" And I feel bad because it's like, no, I haven't, but I know this person and I should have, been there for them. And I'm not saying they're having catastrophic changes because I wasn't there for them. But then I see things where it's like, okay, I haven't heard from them in a while and I don't know what's up. And I don't know. Even with friends in real life, I've missed on a lot of stuff. Even if I do have social media to connect with them, it's there's stuff that I just haven't caught up with or haven't talked to them personally. I may find their post on Facebook or they add a new album from this really cool trip, and I'll leave something that's like, "Hey, hope you had a great time," and they're really cool pictures or whatever. But I never really get to see them in person, or I don't really get to talk with them even on an IM or whatever, to be like, "Hey, what's going on? How's it going?" Just general stuff, and just to some kind of update, some kind of personal connection with them, to know that these are two people specifically getting along, instead of just, "Here's how my life is going," to the masses, whatever the case. All right. I think I've said more than enough. I said I was gonna almost lean into this being an hour, but now it's almost a half an hour. So I think that's more than enough. Um, Definitely not all the emotional stuff out here, but it's definitely a good handful been on my mind lately. So even my phone is telling me that's too much. Go. All right. Have a good one, everyone. Take care. Stay safe. And I hope I interact with you soon. I know it's a weird way to put it, but I'm trying my best.